Hey everyone, it's Alex Harper from Mortgage Monitor. I want to chat with you about some issues that a lot of states in the US are currently dealing with. First off, have you noticed how insurance costs are skyrocketing? Taxes are on the rise too, and to make matters worse, the growth in population is slowing down, or in some cases, even going negative. Now, don't get me wrong, the economy isn't collapsing overnight, but it's slowly deteriorating. Unfortunately, some cities are feeling the impact much more than others. This is the thing that many folks miss when they see a low-priced home listing online. I know a lot of you are feeling the pressure to move to areas you never really considered before. Rising rents and a lack of stability can really push you to make a quick decision. You run the numbers and see those low prices and you think, this must be a good deal. But hold on a second. A cheaper price doesn't guarantee you're making a smart choice. Some of these cities seem affordable because jobs are drying up, people are leaving, crime rates are increasing, insurance is becoming unaffordable, and the basic infrastructure like water, electricity, roads, and schools is breaking down faster than anyone can handle. What looks like a good opportunity on a real estate listing can turn into a slow motion disaster when you're locked into a 30-year mortgage. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to badmouth any city or its residents. My goal here is to make sure you don't end up pouring your life savings into a place that has serious red flags based on the data. If you're serious about safeguarding your money and future, give that like button a tap so more people can see this info before they make the same mistake. Also, feel free to drop a comment about any city you're thinking of buying in, whether it's on my list or not, because your perspective really matters. To put this all together, I've taken a close look at trends in population, median home prices, unemployment rates, insurance costs, crime levels, climate risks, and infrastructure, not just the pretty pictures. Based on all of that, here are 20 US cities you might regret buying a home in. Let's dive into it. First up is Bakersfield, California. We're starting here because, well, it's California. I know it can look pretty appealing if you're trying to escape the high prices of LA. The median home price is roughly $390,000, which for California feels like a clearance sale. But here's the kicker. Unemployment is around 9.7%, nearly double the national average. Plus, Bakersfield often ranks as one of the most polluted cities in the country. I mean, the air quality is so bad, your lungs might just file a complaint. All right, let's chat about some US cities where you might want to think twice before buying a home. First, we've got Hartford, Connecticut. It really nails that charming New England vibe with gorgeous buildings and tree-lined streets that look straight out of a postcard. But here's the kicker. While it looks fantastic, the property taxes are some of the highest in the country, and with a median home price around $195,000, it seems reasonable until you get slapped with your tax bill and notice that unemployment is at about 6.7%, which is higher than the national average. The city has been losing people for decades, so don't expect your home value to appreciate. It's more likely to just sit there like a classic car that can only drive in reverse. Next up is Youngstown, Ohio. This place is in the Rust Belt and hasn't bounced back since manufacturing left town. Homes? Super cheap. You can find a median price of around $113,000, and some houses are listed as low as $50,000, no joke. But the job market is tough, with unemployment hovering around 7.5%. You might snag a house for cheap, but selling it later could mean taking a big loss because the city's been shrinking since the 1950s. Then there's Birmingham, Alabama. Now Birmingham has some neat revitalization efforts, and the downtown food scene is pretty good. The median home price here is about $155,000, and unemployment is around 3.4% to 4%, which sounds decent. However, there's a big issue you should be aware of: crime. Birmingham often finds itself in the top 10 for violent crime rates, which isn't a list you want your city's name to be on. While property taxes may be low, that often translates to limited infrastructure and services. So remember, you usually get what you pay for. Finally, let's talk about Shreveport, Louisiana. The city was expected to thrive thanks to the oil boom, but spoiler alert, it didn't. The median home price is around $131,000, but the economic landscape isn't looking too bright. So if you're considering any of these spots, just do your homework and go in with your eyes open. So here's the deal, folks. Unemployment is around 4.5%, and it's not looking great out there. I mean, some homes that felt like steals just 5 years ago are now worth less than what people originally paid. Plus, if you're living in an area where hurricanes, flooding, and oppressive humidity are a regular occurrence, life can feel like an uphill battle. If you've already made the leap and bought in one of these places, don't freak out. Just keep your eyes open and have a backup plan ready to go. By the way, if you're enjoying this chat and want more updates on which housing markets are worth your time and money, or which ones are just money traps, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I share videos regularly that could save you a ton of cash in the long run. It takes just a second. All right, let's dive into the situation in Gary, Indiana. Gary has become pretty notorious, and honestly, it kinda saddens me. This was once a booming steel town where families built strong lives. Right now, the median home price is around $83,000, but unemployment? That's sitting at a hefty 9.2%. The vacancy rates are some of the highest in the country. You can snag a house here for about the same price as a used Honda Civic, but living comfortably is a different story. You'll face tough challenges with crime and services, plus an economy that's been struggling for ages. The steel jobs aren't coming back, and neither are the folks who left. Now let's talk about Toledo, Ohio. Nestled by Lake Erie, it sounds picturesque, but the reality is a bit concerning. The lake has faced some serious algae bloom problems that have actually made the water unsafe to drink. The median home price is around $126,000, and unemployment hangs around 7%. The local economy leans heavily on manufacturing, and we all know how that goes in the Midwest. While home prices are low, they don't really appreciate over time. It's like your cash is just sitting there earning zero interest and, oh yeah, dealing with algae issues on top of it. And then there's Cleveland, Ohio. Now, I know some people defend Cleveland, and to be fair, the city is putting in the effort. The healthcare sector is doing quite well, and there's been significant investment downtown. The cost of living is actually pretty reasonable, with median home prices around $111,500 and unemployment at about 4.8%. It's above average, but not catastrophic. However, the downside is that many neighborhoods still struggle with crime and sky-high property taxes that might catch you off guard. Hey there, so let's talk about some places you might want to think twice about before buying a home. First up, we have San Bernardino, California. This city filed for bankruptcy back in 2012, and honestly, the recovery has been slow. The median home price sits at about $480,000, which is pretty hefty considering the unemployment rate is around 6.6%. There's also a lot of crime, and the schools aren't doing great either. On top of that, home values can jump around quite a bit from year to year. Oh, and let's not forget the increasing wildfire risk. Wildfire seasons in California are getting longer and more intense, which means insurance companies are either hiking up rates or just packing up and leaving. That's a big red flag. Next, let's chat about Stockton, California. This city also declared bankruptcy in 2012. What was going on that year? Well, Stockton has been trying hard to make a comeback, and I give them credit for that. The median home price here is around $426,000, and unemployment is about 7.4%, which is still high. Crime is still a worry, and the housing market can be all over the place. Living in California's Central Valley means dealing with extreme heat, bad air quality, and water conflicts that keep getting worse. The idea of affordable California living sounds nice, but the reality can be a whole different story. If you're still with me, I appreciate it. And if you could spare a moment to hit that like button, it really helps me out and keeps me motivated to create more content for all of you navigating this crazy housing situation. Now let's dive into the top 10 cities you should be cautious about. First up is Houston, Texas. I know. Houston is really big and has a solid job market with unemployment at about 4.9% and a median home price of around $340,000. It sounds good on paper, right? But here's the thing nobody mentions during the home tours. This city floods a lot. Remember Hurricane Harvey? It dropped over 60 inches of rain in some areas and caused a whopping $125 billion in damages. So keep that in mind if you're considering moving there. Hey everyone, it's Alex Harper from Mortgage Monitor. Let's talk about some US cities where buying a home might not be the best idea. First up, we have New Orleans, Louisiana. But before diving into that, let's cover Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville shares some serious issues with Cape Coral, like crisis level insurance, hurricane risks, and significant flooding threats, though it's on a much larger scale. Here, the median home price is around $281,500, and unemployment is about 4.6%. Those numbers sound okay until you look at the insurance costs, which are really breaking people's budgets. Plus, since this city is so vast, commuting can be a nightmare. Now, speaking of Cape Coral, this city boomed during the pandemic. Everyone was flocking to Florida for the sunshine and no state income tax, pushing the median home price up to around $363,000. Unemployment is decent at about 4.6%, but here's the kicker. Insurance premiums have shot through the roof. Some people are seeing their annual costs rocket from $2,000 to $8,000 or even more. Some insurance companies have completely stopped operating in Florida because the risk is just too high. If you bought here at peak prices in 2021, my heart goes out to you. The market correction has not been friendly. And then there's Houston. It's just been walloped by major floods repeatedly. If you decide to buy a home there, you absolutely need flood insurance, which has become shockingly pricey. In some neighborhoods, it's practically impossible to get insurance at all. Plus, the city's spread out nature means your daily commute could really take a toll on your quality of life. For anyone who's experienced flooding, you know how traumatic it is. Watching your home get flooded, losing cherished belongings, and dealing with insurance companies while living in a hotel or with relatives. It's a tough situation, and I want to make sure folks know what they could be getting into. Now, I'm curious about your thoughts. Do you think Florida's housing market is headed for a major correction, or do you believe prices will somehow hold steady despite the chaos? I've seen passionate discussions on both sides, so drop a comment below. Hey there! Let's chat about some US cities that might not be the best places to buy a home. I want to start with New Orleans. It's got a unique vibe with amazing food and music that you just can't find anywhere else. But when it comes to buying a home, that's a whole different ballgame. The median home price is around $240,000 and unemployment's sitting at about 4.8%. The big issue here is that the city's actually sinking. Sea level rise is a real ongoing threat. We all remember Hurricane Katrina and the havoc it wreaked, and the risks haven't really gone away. In fact, they're getting worse. Insurance here is no walk in the park. Flooding happens quite often, and the infrastructure is aging quicker than it can be fixed. So while I really hate to say it, financially, investing in New Orleans is a pretty risky move. Next up is Baltimore, Maryland. This city has stunning neighborhoods, top-notch hospitals and universities, plus a rich American history at every turn. The median home price is about $186,000, which is fairly reasonable for the East Coast. However, unemployment is a bit higher at around 5.6%, and unfortunately, Baltimore also has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country. That's a hard truth. Property taxes are on the higher side, home values in some areas have been stagnant for years, and the city has faced ongoing challenges related to governance and corruption. There are definitely some decent investment spots in Baltimore, but they're just pockets, not the entire city. So if you're thinking about buying here, do your homework. Now, if you're already living in one of these cities and feeling anxious about it, take a deep breath. I'm not saying your home is worthless or you messed up. Real estate markets are super local. The specific neighborhoods really matter, and timing can change everything. This chat is mostly for those who haven't bought a home yet. If you're already settled down, focus on what you can control and make the best out of it. Now, let's move on to Flint, Michigan. Remember the water crisis? That really put Flint in the spotlight. While some progress has been made, it's totally understandable that people's trust in the infrastructure is shaken. The median home price here is around $62,000. No, that's not a typo, but unemployment is around 5.6%. Homes are incredibly cheap here, almost hard to believe. The real question isn't, can I afford to buy, but rather, you might be wondering if you can afford everything that comes after buying a home. And let me tell you, property taxes can be unexpectedly high compared to the low home values you might find. Basic services can be pretty tricky too, and selling your home later could end up being a tough gig, probably involving a significant loss. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be updated when I post new videos about markets that are best to avoid, some hidden gems where prices are fair and sustainable, and all the economic changes that are influencing where Americans can actually afford to live. It takes just 1 second and helps out a lot more than you realize. Now let's talk about St. Louis, Missouri. This city has one of the highest murder rates in the entire country. While the stats for the metro area aren't as bad, they're still worrying. The median home price sits at around $181,000, and unemployment is about 5.2%. It's kind of wild how fragmented the area is, with roughly 90 different municipalities packed into one metro region. This creates some governance challenges and leads to very uneven services, depending on which side of an invisible line you're on. Some neighborhoods are beautiful and growing in value, while others are facing steep declines. If you don't know the area well, you could end up buying in the wrong spot and watching your investment slip away. In St. Louis, the phrase location, location, location isn't just a saying, it's essential survival advice. Moving on to Memphis, Tennessee, it's an affordable city with rich culture and serves as a major logistics hub thanks to FedEx being based there. The median home price here is about $143,000, and unemployment is around 5.3%. However, crime rates are a big issue. Memphis often ranks among the top in the nation for violent crime, property crime, car theft, and pretty much all the categories that aren't great. Insurance costs reflect this tough reality. There are definitely some revitalized neighborhoods that are doing well, but overall the city faces economic challenges that could make long-term appreciation pretty uncertain. I just want to be clear here. If you grew up in Memphis or any of these cities and love your home, I totally respect that. Home is home. This isn't about criticizing places people love or making anyone feel silly for living there. It's about giving potential buyers who are thinking of moving the full story, so they're not caught off guard by things they could have seen coming with better information. If your city is on this list and you think I missed the mark, let me know in the comments below. I really want to understand different perspectives. Maybe there are things happening on the ground that the data doesn't show. Let's talk about Detroit, Michigan. It's often seen as the example of urban decline in America, but there's a genuine effort going on to turn things around. The median home price here is about $76,000, and you can actually see some real investment in the downtown area. We've got new restaurants, renovated buildings, and a vibe that feels alive. Unemployment has dropped to around 8.8%. It's still on the higher side, but at least it's moving in the right direction. Some neighborhoods are even experiencing real revitalization. However, the situation is far from perfect. A lot of the city still battles issues like blight, vacancies, high crime rates, and infrastructure that's been neglected for years. You can pick up a house in Detroit for next to nothing, but almost nothing often comes with some pretty tough living conditions. If you're an experienced investor who knows the ropes and has renovation skills, maybe this is your chance. But if you're a regular person just trying to find a home, it's a good idea to take great care and get local expert advice. So what do you think about Detroit's comeback? Is it real and sustainable, or is it just a facade while the rest of the city struggles? I'd love to hear your honest thoughts. I've seen strong arguments on both sides and really want to know what you feel. Now, let's move on to Jackson, Mississippi. This is the city where I think you'll regret buying a home the most right now. The median home price here is around $77,600, which sounds pretty affordable, right? The unemployment rate is about 4.5%. Not the best, but not disastrous either. But here's the big issue that overshadows everything else. Jackson's water system has made headlines for practically failing entirely. Residents went for weeks without safe drinking water. The infrastructure crisis is so serious that it'll take billions of dollars and years to fix, a kind of money and resources the city just doesn't have. On top of the water crisis, you've got a declining tax base, higher crime rates, and a political landscape where state and city officials can't seem to work together effectively. Sure, home prices are low, but what good is a cheap house if you can't trust the water coming from your tap? It's important to remember that buying a home in some places can be a risky move. I'm not here to make a political statement or put down any specific city or its residents, especially in places like Jackson, where many folks are facing challenges that they can't control. It's crucial to be upfront about the fact that investing your life savings in a home there right now might not be the best idea. If you're in Jackson, I truly hope things get better for your community. Everyone deserves solid infrastructure and support. It shouldn't be too much to ask for in the US. So, let's talk about the 20 US cities where a cheap house may come with some pretty costly problems. One key takeaway from this is that just because a home is affordable doesn't mean it's safe. A low price often means you might be walking into a risky situation in a declining market, which is a red flag. Take a closer look beyond those pretty listing photos. Consider job opportunities, insurance rates, crime statistics, climate risks, and the overall infrastructure. Connect with the locals to hear their experiences instead of just chatting with someone who's looking to make a sale. If this chat helped you get a clearer picture of where you might want to invest, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which city caught you off guard. Don't forget to subscribe because I have another video lined up that will highlight cities that are actually worth your investment if you want to see your money grow instead of fade away. You deserve to build real wealth, not watch it slowly disappear. So go ahead and click on another video to dive deeper into the real estate market.